Hello everybody, Volen here, in pursuit of art. I sort of disappeared for about a month from everywhere, pretty much. Blog, Gmail, Facebook, YouTube, messages, everything. Anyone that's sort of tried to contact me in any way, I'm sorry, I disappeared for a month. And what had happened is I sort of had an epiphany one day. I think I've talked about it in one of the other videos or on the blog, that every few months you sort of feel like you level up. Like the things that you've been doing just don't feel the same anymore. You gain a different perspective. And why that happens is it's not, it's not some mystical, inexplicable, artsy thing that happens. It's pretty much, I read a lot of books on psychology and memory, how your brain works, things like that. And basically with memory, there's when you reach a period, a plateau period, and this happens in pretty much anything that you do. It doesn't even have to be mental, it could be physical, like just skill building, like playing basketball or lifting weights or whatever. Anytime you're at a plateau mentally, what is happening is that your brain is consolidating knowledge. So let's say on day one you do something, and then for the next 30 days you're practicing that one thing. And on day 20, let's say, you feel like you're making zero progress. I've actually written a blog post about this. It's called The Lag Effect. I didn't know that at the time, but that pretty much explains it. The plateau stage is when you're consolidating knowledge. So what that means is that while you're feeling like you're not actually making any progress, while you're feeling that you might be wasting your time, that it's not worth doing, whatever it is, while you're sort of bringing yourself down, your brain is actually bringing itself up. So your brain is consolidating knowledge. So that was a huge thing for me to understand, that learning is not something that, you do now and like an hour later, like, yeah, I know that thing now, or the day after or a week after. Sometimes it takes months and sometimes it takes years. So to me, that was huge to understand, because like art, skill building, because those are really the same thing. Art is just a series of skills. Learning art is the same as learning to drive a car. The only difference being is that the car has about a billion different gears, and you have like all kinds of knobs and all kinds of things that you can push, press, pull, punch, hammer, push with your head. Your nostrils make, like, if you just go like this, or if you just look at something, there's sensors. So everything makes a difference. There's so many different things that are just interconnected together, and we just call it art. Like, we just call it that one word. Same would go for, let's say, medicine, or just training, physical training, just anything. We bunch huge amounts of concepts together, we call them one thing, and then we have the illusion of knowing about that thing because we know a little bit about it. But when you actually start doing the thing and breaking it down, you realize that there's a billion things where you thought that there's just one thing. So what happens, or at least what I feel happens, is that every few months, it's sort of like you just climbed up a hill that you thought was the hill. Imagine if you're going like up Mount Everest and you go up to the summit and like, yeah, this is where everyone wants to go to, that's like the top. And then you got there and then you looked up and it turned out that it's not the peak, it's actually like the tiniest little bit, like it's the staircase before you even start. So then you go up the next one, and then you look around and it seems even bigger, and then you go up even more and it just seems even bigger. Now when you look down, you might not be able to see where you started from, but when you look up, you sure as hell can see a lot more left. And this happens all the time. I don't think that it's actually ever gonna get any different. In fact, it's probably only gonna get more and more and more huge. I think of it in terms of when I first started with art, I thought of it as like jumping into a pool. So like, I'm in a pool, I jump in, I swim around a little bit, I feel really good about myself. I go to the end of the pool and I see that I can actually go further. So then I just keep going, and then you look back and you can sort of see the beginning of the pool, but it's no longer a pool. When you turn around and you just keep going forward, you're now into sort of like a little lake. And then you keep going and now you're in a river. And then you keep going and then you're in the middle of the ocean. And that's when you sort of don't know, if you look forward, what's going to happen, where do you go? You can't really look back because you're too far back to swim. So you can't really go that way either. So you get to those stages where stuff feels like just, okay, what do I do now? Because thing is, what you have to realize is that art is really infinite. Like, technology evolves all the time, and new concepts of how people work, like let's say with photo batching or just The way people work changes all the time. What's acceptable by the industry changes all the time. Technology pushes what's possible all the time. What people can do, and when they come together and like create new ways of working, everything changes all the time. So art's like everything is incredibly fluid. And I think because we go to stupid school for about 10, 12 years, however long you go to school for, and in school we're given the illusion of a finite amount of knowledge. You're given like books, and like just read through the book and that's it. Like everything, like those are the answers, and you just give them back, you regurgitate them back, and it feels like everything is finite, everything has a definite end to it, and you can encompass and know all of it, and it doesn't really take a lot of effort. And that mindset, to beat it out of your head, takes a huge amount of effort. And what I want to talk to you guys in this video, really quick, hopefully, is the 10,000 hour rule. Now, the 10,000 hour rule isn't actually a rule. That thing doesn't exist. 10,000 hours is, I think that concept was popularized by Malcolm Gladwell, I think, in his book Outliers. Now, I'm not really sure about that. I haven't read the book. I've read loads of other books though, and I think that's just the one thing that sort of made it popular. But the 10,000 hour rule also goes by other names, like the 10 dark years. I think that's a lot more realistic. So what that means is that the 10,000 hour rule, if you just sat in front of a computer for 10,000 hours straight, somehow found a way to not sleep, like just have an IV, whatever thing, just going right to your blood, and just swapping your blood and caffeine just going right through your ears, and 10,000 hours straight. You're not going to be a master by the end of the 10,000 hours. The reason being, like I talked about it before, is your brain needs time to consolidate knowledge. So a lot of high performers actually say that about 4 hours per day is about the maximum amount of work that they do. But they are very effective though. They also have coaches and mentors. Now, if you're learning on your own, if you're self-taught, you have no idea what to do, your 4 hours might stretch to 8 to 12 hours or however long you can spare per day, because you have to do your own research, you have to think about what to do, you have to problem solve, you have to figure out what the hell the next thing is that you're going to be doing. So your 4 hours might not be just deliberate practice. Your 4 hours might have to include a lot of other things of just how to plan your practice, because there's no one that's just gonna give that to you. So you're gonna have to do that on your own. There's a lot of things that are gonna happen along the 10,000 hours. The 10,000 hour rule, supposedly, is that they noticed that on brain scans, within about 10,000 hours, high performers have their brain areas enlarged in the areas that they practice a lot. So if you have they give the example of a taxi driver in London all the time, that their hippocampus is enlarged, that their spatial visual thinking is a lot better, because they pretty much have London mapped out in their brain. So they just navigated these same problems so many times that in a sense they've built those problems into their brains. Now this is what we're doing. When you're studying art, when you're studying anything deliberately, consistently, daily, what you're doing essentially is you're mapping a problem into your brain. I think that's a great way to think about it, because what that does is it gives you a way to understand that you're progressing. It gives you a way to know that you're not doomed to never be able to learn. You actually can understand that even if you're learning slow, you're building those structures. You're building them every day, and it does take 10,000 hours. After the first hour, you would have already changed your brain, but you would have changed it so slightly, and also the brain purges all connections that are unnecessary all the time. So your brain doesn't want any fat on it, right? The brain doesn't want anything that it doesn't need. So as soon as it finds something that you're not using, like you haven't practiced your figures in 6 months or whatever it is, and you only did a little bit, that gets purged. Now, if you've practiced it enough to the point where you had automated it, so you were proficient at it, that's not gonna get purged that easily, because the brain has the idea that, okay, this is important, we're gonna leave that. But if you only do a little bit and then you don't do it for a while, that gets cleared, man. You need to start over now. The main things that I can give you from my practice so far is that consistency is key. Consistency and dedication and doing everything in a systematized way, where you don't just spend like 5 minutes on something, then swap and go to something else, and then change that and go to something else. Consistency over an extended period of time and doing it over and over in a disciplined but also fluid manner. That means that you don't just do it mindlessly 1,000 times, but you do it to the point where you sort of realize that there's more implications to it. Then you change it slightly, and then you integrate it again, and then you change it slightly, and then you do it over. I used to hate doing stuff more than once. I used to hate that. Like, I used to think I do it once, then it's done. I do stuff 5, 10, 15 times now. Like, I would just do the same painting over and over, and because I don't get it. Like, doing studies is, you can take one image and just study that thing for years, because you could study it for different things. You could study it for shape, you could study it for color, you could study it for value, you could study it for composition, you could study it for environment. If it's an environment thing, you could study how the shapes relate together, what it means when atmospheric perspective is present, what's the shape design, you know, what is the communication of shapes within landscape, or shapes within character, shapes within whatever. All of those things, and they remain the same. You know, one thing why I stopped doing videos is because I pretty much realized that talking, you know, the concepts that I know of now, my ideas about them are a bit more refined. But really talking, what I could say in my first year isn't really that much different in the third year. In fact, I would probably say less now than I would ever in the first year. I did like 30, 40, 50-minute videos in the first year. I don't even know how to fill 10 minutes now. I'm thinking of, I've already started doing this video over a few times, and even now I want to do it over. I just won't make a video if I have to do it over a couple more times, because I'll just run out of time. So I'm leaving it as is. But even now, I'd love to start over and cut it down even more. But I'm leaving the info out there for hopefully to give you guys an idea of what the experience is like. Not just the knowledge of why the stuff works and how it's supposed to work, but also what does it actually feel like? And the way it feels isn't, let's say, always pleasant. A lot of times it's actually going to be shit, okay? A lot of times you're going to just have to do it, just no matter what. But the thing is that it's not really a desperate sort of, please just let me have this, or, you know, it's not like a bad feeling. Even though it might feel like you're always doing stuff and that you can never take a break and whatever it is, you actually, at some point, you begin to find pleasure in that. Like, there's purpose in every single day that I wake up. I have things I have to do. It doesn't matter if it's a weekend or if it, like, that makes zero difference to me. There is no difference between weekend and Wednesday or Monday. It's the same. It's just tasks that I need to do. Things that are coming in that, okay, I have an understanding of this now, I want to move on, and then I can also do this, and I want to do that, and I want to combine these, and I'm really not, like, this is a naive thing to say, but money isn't like the major, I need money because I have no money, but I'm a lot more inspired by just quality. I like developing stuff, like this, just learning how to do stuff and deconstructing and learning, teaching myself learning how to learn and developing ideas about stuff and navigating the puzzle of like a billion pieces of the weird car with all the buttons that art is. Like, that's to me a lot more exciting than, you know, anything else that I could be doing. Money is an inevitability that you just have to also integrate into that, so you'd be able to do art. But that's, to me, that's not the main thing. I'm not inspired by it, let's put it that way. Let me show you guys some stuff then before I wrap this up. So this is my calendar, 2013. This is when I started. So this is a calendar. I have each day on there. So this is 2013. And then I actually started this just to, you know, keep myself accountable. Now, by now, I don't really use it anymore. I still do it, but it really doesn't give me anything important. Now, this is 2014. The thing about the 10,000 hour thing is, while you're doing your 10,000 hours, you're also going to have to be doing life as well. Like, you're going to have to go to work. You're going to have to deal with health stuff. You're going to have to deal with, I said health, not hell, by the way. I just realized that. And health stuff as well, as in hell. So you're going to have to go to hospitals. People are going to get sick. Like, you can see over here, this is when my girlfriend got sick last year. So I only have like 2 hours, 1 hour, 2 hours, 1 hour. And then I have, most of them are just like dead. Like, that's just what I felt like. Like, wake up at 2 a.m., 1 a.m., 3 a.m., go to the hospital, call a doctor, wonder like, is she dying right now or not really? What should I ambulance? Or, no, you can't have an okay. Let's go taxi, or no, you're gonna be okay. You want to go to bed, or I don't know. So you're gonna have hospitals. You're gonna have your own health is gonna go down if you're working 12, 15-hour days. You yourself are gonna have trouble. So you need to also work that in. So doing art isn't just about doing art. Doing art is also doing your health. It's also doing your job. It's also, you know, seeing family when you can. It's doing all of that stuff. But so far I have 2 years and a half without a day skipped. Now, I don't necessarily work crazy hours because I also have work. On some days I just can't. And on some occasions you're just burnt out. Like I just saw this week over here, and I'm pretty sure at that time I just probably couldn't even look at anything, and I just feel completely sickened by it because I just didn't want to do it. Like after you do it for 500, 600, 700 days together, and by now it's, I don't even know what it is. It's 900 days total, one after the other. Like after you do it for that long, some days you just don't want to see it. But you know, the good thing about it is you just mix it up. Art is thankfully big enough so that you don't have to just do the one thing that you've been doing. Now let me show you how my practice has actually changed. Like you saw the calendars, that's pretty much, you know, this is the behind the scenes. So this is the hours, but this is what the actual practice looks like. So in 2012, this is before I started. So 2013 is when I decided I'm gonna, you know, teach myself. So 2012, you can see that's it, 25 things. 2013, 685 things. And this is only what's on the computer. It doesn't have the sketchbooks. It doesn't have probably other folders hidden somewhere. It's just what I've saved in this folder. Like this is all the work that's been done in 2013. A lot of everything about it is purely deconstructing what's the next thing, what's the next thing, what's the next thing. When I first started out, this is my first year, I just couldn't see stuff. Like when I started, I just had no idea when I was doing stuff from imagination. That's still something that's very hard for me now. I just can't see stuff. In line, when I'm doing stuff in line, I can't see it. Like I can't translate line into form. I can't, in my brain, unless I like shade it or do something with, I can't see it. So there's a lot of limitations that I had to learn to work with, and I'm still deconstructing. I'm still going through. So this is the first year. Like this is, I can't even scroll through all of them. But every day, daily, just doing it every day, just practicing. Okay, so accuracy is bad, work on accuracy. Figures are bad, work on figures. Imagination work is really, really bad, work on imagination work. Trying alla prima, so without anything. Just imagination work, really bad. Imagination work, really bad, but with color this time. So just slowly, day by day. This is why it takes 10,000 hours. It's because the first hour, your brain's already different, but for your brain to actually grasp all the components of a problem, it takes the 10,000. By the way, it doesn't end at 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours is just, you know, the world class. But by now, let's say Maciej Kuchara, that's probably 20,000 hours by now. So then this was 2013. And in 2013, the first year, I also had these as well. So big breakthroughs, sort of, but really nothing that I was happy with, because I know what still needs work and I'm still not where I want to be. Like, it doesn't make me happy, let's say, that I could paint those. It didn't really prove anything. When I painted that, it just felt like, yeah, like that's expected it would happen, because I had the reference, I had everything to work from. All I did was just spend enough time on it, and that's all it took. But it didn't really mean nothing. So 2014 then, the second year, you start over. So I might have just had those that I finished, like the master studies, it really, really looked good. But it doesn't end there. Then you start, and then second year was working on imagination work, or better yet, actually, it's to be called memory work, because really there's no imagination without memory. So I needed to start and sort of deconstruct that. So then I started doing problems that I couldn't solve. So I could never, let's say, do the perspective properly on a more complex form, like a car. I still struggle with that. So then I did a car, and then what's the second year then? 606 items, and then a lot more folders that actually are full of other stuff. And I got to do a few things for other people as well. But you can see that 10,000 hours are filled with pretty much problem deconstruction and constant looking for what's the next thing. And even when you've done something that's good, that doesn't mean, not everything is pushed at that same rate of development. So while I might, let's say, my color and form might have been okay from observation, they are at zero. So they might be at 10 at the moment for observation, but from imagination or from memory, they're at zero. Same goes for perspective, same goes for all of that stuff. To me, they're very different things. Painting from observation and painting from memory / imagination. It takes different ways to think about things, and it's a different skill level. It's a different tool set. So just because you can do one doesn't mean that you can do the other. And you need to practice them in different ways as well. So it's just a constant navigation of an infinite sort of maze that you're just constantly going through. But also, the deeper you go, the more you understand of it, the more you know how to navigate it, the more you understand which way to go, what to do, what's next, what's expected. Your brain begins to pick up on the patterns of, okay, this is what the maze is like. This is, I took a left and a right, so then I know now that I should take 2 more lefts or 2 more rights, because this is the pattern that it follows. So your brain, first you learn to navigate the problems, then your brain begins to do it for you. Like, one thing about art or about skill is, and I really love this a lot, because a lot of people might say it's unfair because some people have it easy, some people have it hard. The way I think about it is that if you have it hard, and I can't really say, if it's harder for me than it is for others. I have a lot of reasons, let's say, to believe that maybe it is, but I also might just be making that up completely. Like, one thing is that I have a lazy left eye, which means that my right hemisphere was most likely underdeveloped when it was time for it to develop. The right hemisphere supposedly is what governs spatial orientation and all of that stuff, visual thinking and all that stuff that we're doing, and I'm really terrible at all of it. Like, I used to get lost close to my house when I was a kid. That's just something that I've always sucked at. And now I'm actually feeling that through painting, through doing all that stuff, visualizing items and doing all of that, I feel like that's actually really improved now. Like, I don't get lost in cities now. I can just go down the street and then sort of know where the other street is that I was just on. That's something that I could never do before. There's a lot of benefits that you get that are not necessarily related to what you're doing, but you get them anyway. So I can't say if it was more difficult for me than it is for other people. I can't, some people say that they learned in a year, others learned in 2, some took 5. Brad Rigney, I think took close to 5-8 years for him he said that he was just in his house, just drawing and painting all the time, constantly. So maybe that's what you have to do. Maybe you're only going to take a year. Your story is your story. You can't really compare it to anyone else. The only reason to compare it to anyone else is to know what you should be aiming for, to not be content with what you've produced, but to know that there's always more to go, always more to go, always more to go. But that's not a discouraging thing. That becomes a fun thing. That becomes something that gives you purpose every day and something to think about and something that just drives you forward. I hate when I see people that are just content to just sort of lay back and don't really know what they're doing or don't feel like doing something. And even basic stuff, just like people always talk about exercise. To me, that's the one thing that is pretty much almost the determining factor. You can just talk to someone because everyone supposedly exercises, but when you just talk to them and they just say how much they hate it, how badly they don't want to go, all of that stuff, you just see that those people can't stick to basics. When I think this is something that you need to go through. If it's hard for you, then great, because this is the development you need to go through. You're going to learn to tackle hard problems. You're going to learn to problem solve on your own. You're going to learn to be self-sufficient. You're going to learn to do stuff that most people can't do, and that is awesome. You don't need to have it easy. If you have it easy, then you won't appreciate it. When I started art, I didn't appreciate it. I thought it was easy. I thought that I just had an idea and I just wanted to do something. And if I got to do that thing in my first year, let's say, I would have dropped art. I would have done something else most likely. I would have been content and happy with myself, and I wouldn't have realized how much work there actually is that needs to be done. So going through a hard process is actually the best thing for you. I encourage you to not think that just because it's hard that it can't be done, or just because someone else has it easy that you can't do it either. I say that if it's hard for you, then you'll find the people that it's also hard for, and they will be inspired by how hard it was for you. So never take something as too difficult and think that that's a reason not to do it. No, go for it. go for it and just do it. That's all I have to say. And that's why I didn't do videos for about a month. It's because really there's no more to it than that. Just do what you have to do and do it every day, and just don't give up no matter what. If you have to go to the hospital, if someone else is in a hospital, just look at the hospital. If you have to go to work, just look at stuff while you're at your work. If you don't have money, don't go anywhere. If whatever it is, if you had bad guidance as a kid, if you don't know what to do with all of that stuff, just no matter what it is, just do it. Even if you're not sure if that's the right thing for you to do, just do it, because it'll teach you everything you need to know. Quick go through this year now. It's actually less stuff now, but it's different things that I'm doing. So it's trying out 3D stuff, doing other things, and I actually had a couple public things we did. And this is what I said earlier about doing the same painting over and over. I just grabbed a Feng Zhu line drawing yesterday that I was looking at, and I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do this probably a couple more times. So I can't do colors and values from my imagination, so this is just a line drawing, and then you shade it. And I've done this a couple of times as well. Just pick up a line drawing from someone, and then I just shade over it. So I just practice stuff. And then this is another one, practicing design. This is another one I haven't posted anywhere, practicing atmosphere, all of that stuff. So that's it, you guys. I think I'm gonna leave you with this. I hope I gave you some good things to think about. I also hope I gave you a realistic perspective for what it's like if you're doing this later on, if you have life going on while you're doing this as well. If you're a kid, if you're someone who still lives at home, if you have the benefit of having time, if you don't have to go to work, or if you can cut your work hours down, go for it. Don't waste your time. This is stupid to say, but because it's expected to be said, but don't just waste your time on doing what you feel like doing. You know, don't just party. Just do what you have to do. Do the work first, and then you can do what you want. Otherwise, if you just waste your time, you're not even gonna have that great of a time. If you just go and you just do what you feel like, instead of doing the work first and then really appreciating time and having the privilege to do other things with people that appreciate what you're doing, that's much more valuable. So if you have time on your hands, if you're someone still living at home, go for it, man. Don't waste your time doing stupid stuff. Go and work for what it is that you want to do, and then you can go and take some time out and do some other stuff. Otherwise, it gets to be very hard, and a lot of people don't make it out. I know that for a fact. I've seen many people that always say that they want to do things, but they never get to. So don't be one of those people. I'll see you soon.